I came to Korea in 1961 as a toddler with my baby brother and my parents who were coming to work with the Salvation Army. The year that we came was about 7 years or so after the Korean War, which seems like a very long time until you think about the impact of the Korean War on a country that was now torn in two by a demilitarized zone. The Salvation Army had been in Korea since 1908, but nothing could prepare my parents for what they experienced coming on as such young people for 5 years of service at a time. I spent my early childhood days with a fully Korean neighborhood of kids. Our world was a dirt alley and kimchi pots that remain in Cheongdam today if you care to go see them. It was there that I learned to speak what I call today gutter Korean, and it was there that I found happiness. As the story goes, when I entered SFS as a kindergarten student, I was sent back home because I didn't know enough English. By the time I joined SFS, the school already had a long history, over 50 years. It all began in the fall of 1912. Miss Ethel Van Wagner, who was the first and only hired teacher at the time. Miss Van Wagner later married Horace Underwood and became the mother of Richard Underwood, who was SFS's first head of school. For a long time, SFS was the only school in town for foreigners. Between the time of 1912 and 1923, it moved 5 times, and then it moved to Morris Hall from 1923 to 1957. It was located in Cheongdam, in a neighborhood where lots of missionaries and other foreigners lived. Mostly a school for missionaries, SFS was a poor school. Teachers who taught there saw it as a calling from God. Very early on, SFS provided extracurricular activities for the students. Even all the way back to the 1920s, SFS had a girls' and a boys' basketball team, baseball, and even a cheerleading squad. And at the time, SFS's biggest competitor was none other than Pyongyang Foreign School. As enrollment slowly but steadily increased, a new location was found in 1959 on a hillside way out in the country, past Yonsei University. This became the home that we know today at SFS. When I first started attending Seoul Foreign School, it was a much smaller school than it is today, and it was largely a missionary population. We went to school together from kindergarten through high school, so we knew each other very well for the most part. And it was family. My earliest memories of school were Camp Mount Pines at KCCG, Taechon Beach, the Seoul Union Club, the school carnival, watching sports, and on occasion, seeing a play directed by Mrs. Rona Robb. When I graduated, I never expected to return to Korea. The headmaster of SFS, Mr. Dick Underwood, called me back to be a teacher, and I'm glad he did. When I returned in 1983 to Korea, there had been a political coup, and Korea was heading towards hosting the Olympic Games in 1988 that would lead Korea to what some people called opening up to the world. The growth we saw in this country after that time was daunting. The modernization, the architecture, the economic surge. A major part of this was the influence of Korean art, film, and music. Once K-pop and K-drama broke onto the world scene and cultural landscape, there was no turning back. Over my years here, I've seen dramatic change in every aspect of life, but at the same time, I love that some things will never change. When I came to SFS in 1983 to be a teacher, I had the privilege of living in what they called the singles building, and my neighbor was Jack Moon, and that is where our story began.
I came to SFS to teach in 1979, and I thought I'd be here for a few years, but then Edie showed up. And we got married within a year, and later on had 2 wonderful daughters. We found the SFS community a wonderful place and thought, why not raise the children here? In the years at Seoul Foreign, I taught earth science, physical science, biology, and even photography. And Edie, well, she taught English, composition, speech, and yes, theater. After 3 years of repatriation from 2004 to 2007, we returned to SFS in new roles. Edie as the school-wide theater director and me as the activities director. That was 17 years ago, and we've had the privilege of seeing SFS and Korea grow during those years. The diversity of the student body, the building of the expansive facilities, the full establishment of the IB program K through 12, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the school, and the commitment to Korean community service have all been such highlights of this time. One aspect of SFS that has not changed is our mission statement, which reads, "Centered in Christ." And as we describe it, it is a Christian school for everyone. One of the great privileges of working here has been having the opportunity to share our faith with students and support them in the development of their own.
SFS has lived through a turbulent time in Korean history. Closed during World War II and the Korean War, SFS lived through it all, even the riots that occurred as Korea transitioned into a democracy. The history of SFS and Korea are deeply intertwined. Both have seen so much and experienced so much in the last 110 years, and both are ready to face the next 110 years together.
Welcome to the next chapter.